Hi, welcome to this tutorial. My name is Rachel, and in this video I'm going to break down the crow pose, the arm balance crow, also known as Bakasana in Sanskrit. And this is actually one of my favorite postures when it comes to balancing on the hands or balancing on the arms. It's the first one that I would normally teach my students as well. And I love that feeling of being challenged in this way, but I know that's not the same for everybody. There can be a lot of fear surrounding balancing on your hands. But if we break it all down in a really easy and fun way, starting with the foundations of the postures and really refining our alignment before we think about lifting the feet away, we're going to start to eliminate the fear. So all you need for this is to actually roll out your yoga mat already, have a little bit of space around you. It's also a good idea to have a cushion or a bolster or something like that nearby. So when you have all of those things ready, let's get started. When coming into crow pose, I think it is so important to actually appreciate the journey of coming into this really challenging arm balance. For some people, it might come naturally with just a little bit of practice, but for most people, it takes a while to really understand your body in this way and the fundamentals of this posture. That sometimes takes a lot of practice, patience, and perseverance as well. So really try and appreciate the journey coming in towards it, and know that you're strengthening your entire body and starting to eliminate fear and building that trust inside of yourself. So keep that with you as we practice today. So if you haven't already checked out my tutorial on how to gain more wrist strength and look after your wrist health, then make sure you check that out straight after this video. But before we even get going into this arm balance, it's really important that you warm up your wrists. So make sure you do that before you begin. To understand the fundamentals of this posture, we need to be aware of the mass of the body. So a simple way to put this, if you're on a seesaw, and this person here on the one side is equal mass, equal weight to the other person on the other side, they're going to balance in the center, right? If one person is slightly heavier than the other, gravity pulls that heavier weight the fastest way that it can straight back down to earth. That's what happens with crow pose, with any arm balance really. We're looking to create equilibrium. Equal weight on the upper half of the body, equal weight on the lower half of the body. So the upper body, lower body need to weigh the same to balance in the center. Now naturally your upper body weighs a lot less, the mass is less than your lower half of your body. So when we come into crow pose, we want to be leaning our body weight forwards into our fingers so that we can make the upper body and the lower body weigh the same. So if my center of mass is straight down the middle like this, my upper half of my body at the moment weighs a lot less than my lower half. So gravity will pull the lower half down. If I'm to shift more of my actual weight forwards, my physical body forwards, and my center of mass is here instead of the center, then two halves of the body will weigh the same. So we can apply this to any type of arm balance to find that equilibrium. Coming into this actual pose then, I'm going to start right up high on the balls of my feet. There are many ways that you can place your hands, so you might have to play around with the way that works best for you, but this is the way that I typically would teach this crow pose. It's the way that I come into crow pose as well. So I'm going to place my hands down onto the ground. Now, as soon as I place my hands down, I want them to work for me. They're not just planted down and resting, they are very much active. So I'm starting to grip with my fingers, almost like spider hands. I'm clawing into my mat. That helps me, once I actually lift into the arm balance, it helps me to correct my alignment because I'm gripping down. It's my foundation. Also helps to stabilize me in this position as well. I'm not actually perfectly still. You can't be with all the forces that are applied upon your body. You are moving just slightly, and with your fingertips you're helping to stabilize that movement along with your core strength as well. So my hands are down and my fingers are active. I'm going to turn my hands just slightly inwards. So it's not a full turn in, it's just very slight turn in. And I do that so I can push my elbows out to the side. So when I come into this position, I want to be right up high on the balls of my feet, so my heels are lifted and my arms and legs connect from the very start. So my hands aren't way out here, my hands are a lot closer in towards me. I think they're around about 30 centimeters in front, something like that. Now, as I bend my arms, I really want to take my knees onto the back of my arms here, onto the tricep muscle. So as long as it's above the elbow, then it's going to be perfectly fine. As I bend my arms, you'll notice my arms will come into a shelf, like a shelf-like position here. And as I do that, I'm bringing my legs on top and they're resting there, like a table and the tabletop here. So my legs and arms stay connected throughout the whole journey. My gaze now is really important. If I'm to look between my legs, this is the start of a gambol, and I probably will end up doing some spectacular gambol and landing on my back. So I don't want to do that. Instead, I want to look forwards. Now, I'll place the block where my gaze is. So my hands are down, my feet are in the correct position, I'm almost ready to go. My gaze is now going to be here. So it is well in front of my hands. So if you look between the hands, that starts the rounding action of your spine, this tucking in movement. That creates the gambol action. We don't want to do that. We really want to stay uplifted. So the gaze is forward. So we actually start to extend all of the spine, including the cervical spine, the very top of the neck as well. So as I come into my pose, my fingers are still active, my legs and my arms are connected, my gaze is a lot further forwards than my hands. So I just want you to have a go at bending the elbows, head goes down, bum lifts up slightly, and then coming back down again. So just notice that my feet, both of my feet are on the floor. Just starting to tip my weight into my hands, my gaze is still forwards, and then I'm going to come back down again. When that feels comfortable for you, we can start to lift 1 foot away. Okay, so exactly the same body position, same setup. Remember, we're trying to make our upper body and our lower body weigh the same as we do this. So head goes down, bum lifts up, shift some more weight forwards into your fingertips. Have a go at lifting 1 foot away, take the foot back down onto the ground, place it down, and then come back to your start position. Let's have a go on the other side. So leaning forwards, bend the elbows, shift your weight forwards to your tiptoes, lifting the other foot away, keep gazing forwards, plant the foot down, and come back to your start position. So once you practice that a few more times and it feels comfortable, then we're ready to shift a little bit more weight forwards and maybe start to lift the feet away. So I'm going to remove the block away. Still going to keep the gaze forwards, but this is where we're going to exchange the block with the pillow. This should help now to eliminate fear. I'll show you what it looks like when you fall out of this. If you have a cushion in front of you, it's perfectly fine. It actually doesn't hurt. But let me just show you what happens. Head goes down like this. Okay? So sometimes the fear lies in the fact that you don't know what's going to happen. If you don't have anything in front of you, then of course it can hurt when you come down and you squish the side of your face or your nose or something like that. But if you have the pillow there, all that happens is that your face meets the pillow, which is already soft, okay? Which is soft, of course. So once you do that, you can lift yourself away again. You're not going to hurt yourself at all. I definitely recommend to keep that pillow there until you can lift both feet off the floor at the same time. So I'm going to remove the pillow just for a moment, show you where my gaze is again. So it's going to be well in front, a lot further ahead of my hands and my legs. So when I come into this position now, I'm going to need a little bit more core strength. So I'm going to pull my navel towards my spine. This in yoga is called Uddiyana Bandha. The bandhas are there to keep the prana or the energy within that certain section of the body, but also helps the abdominal muscles to contract. They're going to work super hard for you in this position. Let's come back to our start position. Up nice and high on the balls of the feet, lift the heels away, plant the hands down, spread your fingers wide. Turn the hands just slightly in. Legs connect with the back of the arms above your elbows. If it's below the elbows, you'll just slide down because there's nothing to actually lean on. Imagine your arms being those cable legs. Gaze is a lot further forward, so we're extending through the top of the neck. The crown of the head is reaching forwards. Navel is drawing towards the spine. Okay, here we go. So keep the gaze forwards. Bend the arms. Shift more weight into your tiptoes, right up high into your tiptoes. Feel that just for a moment. Now you'll need to lean forwards just that little bit more so your tiptoes will lift away, making the upper body and lower body weigh the same so we find equilibrium, and then we can come back down. So you'll notice that I didn't push off and keep on doing this because that includes momentum. And unless you're met with the same force, then you're just going to crash down. So instead of jumping into it and including momentum in this, try to lean forwards. Lean forwards into your fingertips, up onto the tiptoes. And if you lean far forwards enough, then your feet should lift away. And I'm going to use the word effortlessly now, but I know that's a difficult word to use right now when we're coming into such a challenging arm balance. But if you are leaning far forwards enough, your feet should feel light. Okay, so if you're balancing your upper body and lower body and they weigh the same, your whole body just feels a lot lighter. So when you actually come into this pose, once you find that tipping point and that balance, you can lift a little bit more. So you can maybe start to lift the feet away, maybe bring the feet together, maybe start to round through the shoulders so that you're really pressing the mat away from you. So have a little play in this position. Take it easy, step by step, stay with where you feel comfortable. Where your body stops you is perfect, but it all happens with perseverance and patience with yourself. Hopefully this tutorial has broken this pose down for you and has also helped to eliminate the fear of these really challenging arm balances. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again very soon.